All right, while we continue to get you ground reports on the damage on India's side of the LOC, news break right now coming in. After Operation Sindoor, NSA Ajit Doval and Chinese Foreign Minister Wang have held talks. The NSA has told him that India has no intent to escalate but was well prepared to retaliate resolutely should Pakistan decide to escalate. That's the latest that is coming in, viewers. India has briefed as a responsible nation to all its counterparts across the world, where diplomatic diplomacy is concerned. The NSA Ajit Doval was the first to brief the United States of America on exactly what forced India's hand to conduct these strikes on Pakistan, why India did it, and the latest right now coming in after Operation Sindoor, NSA Ajit Doval and China's foreign minister have spoken, where India has told China that India had no intent to escalate but was well prepared to retaliate. This wasn't escalation, this was in fact retaliation. That has been conveyed to China. In midst of all of this, I want to bring in my colleague Geeta Mohan, our foreign affairs editor, for a larger perspective, because Geeta, till now, if you look at the global world internationally, most countries standing shoulder to shoulder with India. China has been one isolated country that gave out a press statement earlier that India's action was regrettable. Well, India, following the diplomatic line, we've had the NSA who's spoken to the foreign minister of China explaining on why India conducted these strikes, and this wasn't escalatory in nature, but rather retaliatory.
Well, that's right. Non-escalatory but warranted is what India has been maintaining with most countries. There are statements that are coming in from various quarters, Preeti, but over here it was important for National Security Advisor Ajit Doval to engage the Chinese, his counterpart as special representatives on border talks, apart from being the foreign minister of China, Wang, and that's the reason why they're engaged and connected on a very regular basis, the reason why it is Doval who's spoken to Wang rather than Dr. Jaishankar, and in no uncertain words, India has conveyed to China that this was needed, that there is a need for Pakistan to dismantle its terror infrastructure because it hurts India the most, and if Pakistan is not willing to do that, then India did the needful, but it was warranted, non-escalatory, and ensuring that those who hurt India are taken to task and pay a very heavy price, but certainly keeping in mind that military targets and civilian targets were not a part of the operation. They were very specific to do with terrorism and terror-related infrastructure. So that's the message that's been conveyed to Beijing at a time when Beijing has indeed, like you said, expressed not just concern but also called the entire action regrettable. We'll have to wait and see how Beijing really takes the conversation that Wang has had with Ajit Doval, and whether if there will be acceptance in an acknowledgement in the action carried out by India to ensure that India's national security is looked into and taken into account, and that India feels secure from these terrorists who have wreaked havoc when it comes to India, particularly the area of Jammu and Kashmir.
Well, Geeta, India following what is diplomatic protocol, briefing our counterparts from across the world in countries. Can you give us a larger context? Because other than China, who issued that public statement, that press release that the action was regrettable, across the board, countries have stood and pledged support and solidarity with India.
That's right. Look at the kind of reactions that are coming in. For the first time, you're looking at the Islamic world coming in, expressing concern but not condemnation of the action, Preeti. If this were any other time, you would have seen some countries from the Gulf region coming out and maybe condemning India for the actions that were carried out, talking about violation of a country's territorial integrity and sovereignty. But this time around, they're only expressing concern with regards to escalation. India making it very clear to every country that they've engaged that this is non-escalatory. The ball is in Pakistan's court. Should they decide on retaliating to a terror infrastructure dismantlement and make it look like as though Pakistan sides with those terrorists, then there is going to be escalation. Should they stop at this terror attack being responded with, terror infrastructure being dismantled within Pakistan, then there is going to be no escalation. So really it is for Pakistan now to ensure that there is no escalation with
Geeta, very quickly, you know, if you can take us through, because India is now working various layers of diplomacy as well. India has done what it needed to do, what it was forced to do, and now, like I said, working various layers of diplomacy, moving to hopefully now build enough diplomatic pressure on a country that has largely been seen as a rogue nation in the past.
Well, that's right. There have been a few things that have happened. Because it happened in the wee hours, the West was awake. So America really monitored the entire situation. Calls were made. President Donald Trump was informed immediately after the action took place, and he did react to it. He did again express concern, but then there were engagement between Marco Rubio and the national security advisors of India and Pakistan. Following that, there have been a number of calls that have taken place between India and various other world leaders. There are some who expressed concern but also engaged directly with the leadership, some who confine themselves at the foreign minister's level. So Dr. Jaishankar is now doing the diplomatic batting for India in many ways than one, Preeti, where he is not just engaging foreign ministers, but his team, led by him and Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri, will be looking at how other countries are responding and what should India's response be. There could be engagement with foreign envoys, as they did just immediately after Pahalgam terror attack, where they messaged and sounded out the countries that India will be carrying out an action against Pakistan at a place and date and time of their choosing, and which is what they've done. But right now, the messaging has to be, which is what Dr. Jaishankar and Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri are going to do, and Vikram Misri has already done, is tell the world that this is confined to terrorism and terror infrastructure, not military or civilian targets. So engagements on US, UK, Russia, Saudi Arabia and the UAE, allies, key allies and partner countries of India, were informed immediately after the action, and then since then we've seen a lot of engagement. Israel has come out in support of India, saying that it will continue to engage and support India in its fight against terrorism. In fact, in some time from now, around 5 o'clock, we will have the Israeli ambassador here in the India Today office to discuss the same, on how terrorism has to be fought and how Israel partners with India in this fight against terrorism. Many other countries extending their support, some offering their good offices. Iran, for example, saying that there needs to be mediation and de-escalation. Whether if there is going to be further escalation with the Pakistani response is something we'll have to wait and see, Preeti.
All right, Geeta, appreciate you joining us. We're going to continue to come back to you for more updates.